Hello and welcome to the first annual super massive Rantables Wrestling Podcast End of the Year Award Show Spectacular! Yay! Woo! Hooray! I don't have an actual crowd. Hey, how you doing? It's been a while, I know, since the last one, and I think that today, of all days, is most appropriate to have a year-end show highlighting some of the best and, unfortunately, some of the worst things that happened in the year 2011 in terms of the crazy mixed-up world of professional wrestling, or as some people like to call it, sports entertainment. I'm not one of those people. So today was going to be a little bit different from the previous few episodes because there are no shows that I'm going to be talking about for making picks or review. Well, there's going to be mostly reviews, but I'm going to do something that has been sort of a tradition for me the last couple of years, back when I had a little blog where I would give out the Golden Ranty Awards for excellence or non-excellence in various categories that I decided to make up on the spot. I'm also going to be giving out I'm going to be producing a few top number lists. I say number because there are different numbers for each whatever list. Basically just kind of showcasing some of my favorite people, favorite moments, and that sort of thing that have happened over the year. And I've got a couple extra things saved up for the end of the show. So, if you... This may be a fairly long episode, so you may want to go and make a sandwich or something. So I will wait, or you can just pause and come back when you have your sandwich and your beverage of your choice. I don't know how long this episode is going to be, so you may want to prepare some extra food just in case. So please pause the video now, and you can come back when you've got your food. Okay. So, we're going to begin the day with the first annual Rantables Wrestling Podcast Golden Ranty Awards. Yay! Woo-ha! Okay. So, there are quite a few categories that have been created for this particular event, and there are quite a lot of them. So, I hope you're consuming your beverage of choice and or your meal of choice. And I hope this is a very entertaining while for you as I go through all of these various and sundry awards. The first award of the evening is the... Sorry, I have to get the Rantables Wrestling envelope. Excuse me for one moment. There we go. Okay, got it. Okay, so the first award the first award is the award for Best Ring Entrance. And let's see here, I have the official envelope, and let's see here. Okay. And the winner is Jacob Hammermeyer in Chikara for his entrance of walking out, announcing himself, running to the back, waiting for the music to turn on, and then walking out as though someone else announced him. Congratulations, Jacob. You're the first winner of the night. Unfortunately, that's the last you're going to win, so enjoy it. Let's see. Our next category is a fairly important category, I would say. This is the Ranty Award for Breakout Star of the Year. I'm actually not even going to bother doing that silly envelope gimmick anymore. So there were a few people during this is I should have prefaced this, shouldn't I? This is going to be mostly focused on the promotion Chikara, with a few WWE things thrown in as well. Why is that, you ask? Because for my money, and they have quite a bit of it, Chikara is the best wrestling promotion in the world, to me, and so a lot of great things have come out of there, and I am trying to highlight those things that they have done that have kept me entertained over the last 12 months. So, with that being said, The winner for Breakout Star of the Year is Green Ant from the Colony. He, for the last year or so, he's basically gone from a trios guy working in the Colony as 1/3 of the Colony with Fire Ant and Soldier Ant, to being a really competent and entertaining singles wrestler, as well as being the only person in the Colony who actually says anything besides random grunts and Sir Yes Sirs from Soldier Ant. And I have to give him credit for running with an admittedly kind of silly storyline with him and Tursus that basically was just a carbon copy of the Lex Luger-Yokozuna feud from the early 90s, with Green Ant playing the part of Lex Luger and the 375-pound Finnish monster Tursus playing the part of Yokozuna. And it's almost as impressive when you consider that Green Ant is probably half the weight of Tursus, and yet he still managed to give Tursus more than one body slam on more than one occasion, which was quite impressive in my eyes. So not just that, but Green Ant also has had he's had quite a lot of good matches this year, and both solo and as a part of the Colony, and of course being 1/3 of the 2011 King of Trios certainly helps out with his breakout stardomness. Yes, okay. Yeah, okay. So the next award goes for the... Oh, that's actually... I'm going to skip that one for now. I'm going to come back to that later. The best name of a wrestling move. There were not many nominees this year. In fact, I only had 2 of them, because only 2 of them actually made me kind of chuckle when I heard them. So, the winner of the best name of a wrestling move goes to the Even Toe, also known as the Knee DT. For those of you who don't know what a Knee DT is, it's basically a DDT, except you hit an opponent's leg with your hit on the mat instead of someone's head. For those of you who don't know what a DDT is, why are you listening to this? No, a DDT is basically when one guy grabs another guy's head, puts it under his arm, and then just drops and drives the guy's head into the mat. So an EDT is that, but with a leg instead of a head. And I'm going to give an honorable mention in this category to the finishing maneuver of the Tag Team 3.0, which we'll be hearing plenty about later on, for their finisher called the Sweet Taste of Professionalism. It's basically like I believe it's an elevated wheelbarrow lung blower kind of move. It's pretty cool, I would think. I do think. Screw that, whatever. Okay, our next award is for the best facial hair. Unfortunately, Ox Baker was not available to be nominated this year, so we will have to go with one of these 3 men. Yes, it's only men who are nominated for best facial hair this year. I apologize. So, our 3 nominees are the megastar Marion Fontaine for his glorious mustache, and actually, the more I look at him, he actually reminds me a little bit of Freddie Mercury from later on in Freddie Mercury's life. Yeah, it's uncanny. Next up is probably the most famous of these 3. That would be Mr. Daniel Bryan Danielson, famously the current, I believe, still. I don't know. I don't really watch SmackDown anymore, but as far as I know, he's still the current World Heavyweight Champion. And his vow to grow a beard until he wins the title, which he did, and I actually don't know if he's shaved or not, but I'm kind of curious about that. Maybe I'll have to watch SmackDown sometime. And our final contestant, that's a good word. No, a better word is nomination. Yes, this is spur of the moment, people. I don't have this crap written out. Our third nominee in the category for best facial hair is the great Grizzly Redwood. Yes, it's magnificent, isn't it? There's really no question. The winner of this is in fact Grizzly Redwood. If he had not let his mane grow to outrageous proportions over the second half of the year, I probably would have given this award to Marion Fontaine, but because you must fear the beard, Grizzly Redwood is the winner. So congratulations to Grizzly. Best of luck in 2012 in your beard-growing endeavors. All right, the next award goes to the worst wrestling ring ever. There was only one nominee because all of the other ones that I've ever seen have been ridiculously good compared to this one. And it is, of course, the ring that was used for Chikara's show in Kingsport, Tennessee. There's going to be... why am I telling you this? There's a video right now that I'm linking to that will show you exactly what happened. If you're too lazy to watch the video, I will tell you that the ropes broke twice during the show. It was pretty funny. But you should definitely watch the video first, and then you can come back to this. And speaking of videos, the next award goes to the Best Music Video of the Year. And as much as I wanted to give this to CM Punk for his inspirational video, shall we say, of or a tribute, shall we say, I guess that would be a better word, a tribute to one Mr. Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis. As much as I wanted to give that to him, there really was no question that the best music video of the year goes to Tim Donst for his music video, Who's the Man? And there's a link for you. So please pause this for now and go watch that. It will be worth it. Trust me, I'm a doctor. I'm really not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. But you should definitely go watch that. So, the next award is the Hamtastic Actor of the Year award. And, wow, that hurt a little bit. Ugh. I should have... oh, excuse me. Hold on a second. I need to take a drink of water. Oh, that's much better. I can't do that again for 6 months. So, there was only one nominee this year because there's only one man truly deserves this award. And that man is none other than the great and devious Ultramantis Black. And just for a single example of his truly great promo delivery style, you can click on the link there. And I'm especially glad to give this award to him because I find it ironic that I'm giving him an award calling him a ham when he is in fact vegan. Yes, that's wonderful. I think it is very, very good indeed. Yes, wonderful. Okay. Sorry, that might have been a little loud for you. I apologize. The next award is... Let's see, I'm going through this really quickly. Sorry, these are out of order a bit, so I have to... what's the word? Improvise. Just like I'm improvising the rest of this thing. Let's go with the Most Improved category, or award. There were a few nominations. But for my money, the most improved wrestler in Chikara, at least. Again, I'm not a WWE follower, so I wouldn't know if anyone got better or worse. But the most improved Chikara wrestler is Tursus. Yeah, remember that guy I talked about earlier, the 6'8", 375-pound Finnish giant? Well, last year he was, well, to put it bluntly, he was pretty terrible in the ring. But this year has marked a vast improvement in his repertoire, as well as him showing off that he can in fact be a pretty good singles wrestler in matches against Sarah Del Rey and Green Ant, among various others. Not to mention that a guy who is almost as big as Vader is pulling out Vader-type moves. Tursus is now well known for a flying crossbody. That was his finisher last year and still is, I think. But he also has been known to employ a rather large drop kick, as well as a moonsault from the top rope that he's pulled off on more than one occasion. He's never actually hit anyone with it, but the fact that he is pulled off a moonsault at all is pretty impressive. And there was also one time, I believe, where he pulled off a somersault senton from the second rope. Was that enough S's for you in a row? So he's definitely gotten a lot better. How the story, with the storylines going the way it was, I'm not necessarily sure if he will even be returning to Chikara after at the beginning of season 11. But we will see. And for some reason my nose is stopping up and I don't know why. This happens to me a lot when I talk for a while, I guess. I don't know. So, moving on to the Botcheteer of the Year award. This is the award that is given out to the person who has shown an impressive talent when it comes to botching moves. And I initially wanted to give this award to Sin Cara, but I felt that was in bad taste because he is currently injured and on the shelf. So, the award goes to a member of the Chikara roster, and that man, or woman, but it's actually a man, is Kodama of the Batiri. Yay! Congratulations, Kodama! Honestly, Kodama has gotten a lot better this year than he was last year, where he probably would have been awarded the Botcheteer of the Lifetime, but still, even almost a year after, even a year or more after his debut last year in September, was it? I believe it was September. He's still botching some moves, although it is definitely less noticeable than it was last year. There were still some fairly unpleasant-looking spots where he would. There's one very memorable one where he's supposed to be taking a step-up Frankensteiner from Hollow Wicked, but instead of standing and then flipping forward, he fell backwards, and Hollow Wicked practically landed on his head, and Kodama also injured his shoulder. But that was back in January, so he was still he'd only been wrestling for about 5 or 6 months at that point. So it's somewhat forgivable, but still it was a really dangerous looking spot, and it's unfortunate that anyone would have to receive this award, but it's going to Kodama. So let's move on to the next award. This is what's next? The most underrated wrestler or wrestlers. Hint, hint. The fact that I would even consider anyone from WWE to be underrated is a bit of a laughable offense, I guess I should say. So I'm pretty much going to skip them as well. But the award is actually going to be awarded to a team, a tag team, and it is going to be awarded jointly to the team of Sugar Dunkerton and Dasher Hatfield, the Throwbacks. Why am I giving them this award? It's simple, really. Because even though they're both incredibly entertaining guys, both in and out of the ring, both guys are probably two of the better workers in the entire company. Not only they're not necessarily the most athletic or the most technically gifted or the most they're not high flyers of the caliber of someone like an Evan Bourne or that sort of person, but they're great workers. They kind of know how to work a story into a match, and that really says something to me. It says that they've worked hard to get to where they are, and they deserve the spot that they're given. And I'm hoping for good things for them in 2012. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself now, aren't I? Now we're going on to the a dubious award, the most overrated wrestler of the year, and I have 3 people who are going to win this award. Yeah, that's like a record for that, I guess. The first choice is fairly obvious. The WWE winner of the most overrated wrestler of the year is, of course, David Otunga. I don't think that needs any explanation, but if you're confused, I will explain to you anyway. David Otunga is the most boring person I've ever seen on WWE television, aside from John Laurinaitis. He purported himself to be Mr. Charisma, back when he was on NXT, but he is probably the most boring guy I've seen. Not to mention the fact that his in-ring ability is minuscule at best. And I would imagine that there's no really good reason why he should be on TV multiple times a year. I don't know how often he's on TV because, as I've said many times before, I don't watch WWE anymore, except for very certain instances, which I will discuss later. Okay. Oh, right. The other most overrated. The other winners of the most overrated. I'll get it out correctly. Don't worry. I'll get it correctly eventually. Just like that. I'm botching my own podcast. Woo! The most overrated team, and this is a Chikara team, and I'm sure that I'm going to get a lot of flack for saying this, but I don't care because it's a podcast and it's my damn opinion. The most overrated team in Chikara is Chuck Taylor and Johnny Gargano of Fist, also of Ronin and Dragon Gate USA. And I'm going to explain to you why I feel they're the most overrated team in all of wrestling right after I take another sip of water because my throat's really tiring out. I had a little bit of a speech prepared as to what makes a good wrestling match to me. There are quite a few things that actually, to me, make a good match. A couple of the things that make a good match, in my mind, are the kinds of things that Chuck Taylor and Johnny Gargano more often than not, tend to ignore. The biggest thing for me, at least, is... not the biggest thing. Both things. I'll tell you both things. To me, a good match does not feel as though it... Okay, let me rephrase. The actual length of time of a match, to me, is inversely proportional to the amount of time that feels it has passed during the match, if that makes any sense. So, like, for example, a good match, to me, this isn't always the case, I know, but more often than not, it stands to reason that, from my experience, a good match feels longer than it actually lasts. No, I'm sorry. I'm completely wrong. A good match is a match that feels shorter than it actually lasts. That's correct. So, like, for example, a match that lasts 20 minutes only feels like it lasts 10 minutes because the pacing was just correct and good and right and everything. And on the flip side, a match that feels like it went 20 minutes actually went 10 minutes. There's probably something wrong with the pacing there. Maybe it has to do with the wrestlers trying to put in more spots than are necessary. I don't honestly know why that happens. Sometimes that happened a lot for quite a few Fist matches, as well as quite a lot of the matches during the Joshi Mania weekend. And I really don't want to shit on Joshi Mania because it's really... The concept was fantastic. The execution was not to my liking. Just because a lot of those matches just felt like the women, the Joshi women from Japan, were for the most part just kind of going full throttle for their entire matches, and as a result, it felt like their matches were about twice as long as they actually were, which kind of tires me out after a while, and that just wasn't terribly entertaining to me, most of it. The other thing, that's the other big thing, there are other things, like I said before, but these are the things I kind of like to harp on. The other thing that I noticed a lot about, and this is not just Gargano and Taylor, this is also, from my experiences, again, this is my opinion, you don't have to believe it if you have a differing opinion, that's what makes humans great, is that we can have differing opinions. And then hopefully not chastise each other about it. But this is a problem that, to me, seems prevalent not only with Gargano and Taylor, but also with one of the companies that they work for, Dragon Gate USA, as well as Ring of Honor. And yes, I know it seems passé at this point to bash Ring of Honor, but I'm doing it anyway. Whatever, whatever. It's my podcast. There's this thing that people like Dragon Gate USA and Ring of Honor seem to be. They have a tendency towards kind of keeping a match going by just continually hitting a bunch of moves that you think would be the finisher, but in fact are not. And instead of it making any sort of sense, it just kind of becomes a giant game of one-upsmanship. Like, oh, what's this guy going to do next? Oh, he hit this crazy, ridiculous, 1080 moonsault. Oh, that guy kicked out. Oh my God, he dropped him on his head 7 times in a row. Oh my God, that guy kicked out. And it goes on and on and on like that for minutes at a time. And there's a certain a skill to keeping people's belief suspended. It's the same kind of thing that movie makers have to do. They have to suspend the audience's disbelief. And when you're doing shit like hitting 12 finishers in a row on each other, it completely shatters my sense of disbelief, my suspension of disbelief, and it just takes me over to the point where I say, okay, guys, this is just looking kind of silly. And it seems like we, in this game of one-upsmanship, all that the particular wrestlers are trying to do is trying to get the crowd to get the biggest oh, or whatever. Just they're not actually trying. They've basically thrown the story and any psychology out the window in favor of getting the biggest reaction from the crowd, and that seems to me like not lazy, but just kind of a poor planning on their part. I mean, I think it's perfectly okay to have a match end with a really big move. I don't think it's necessary to keep going on and on and on until some guy's been hit with a designated number of finishers and then he gets knocked out. It always feels like in those kinds of matches, the actual finishing maneuver is just some random arbitrary move that one of the guys used before or uses sometimes. It never feels like there's any rhyme or reason as to what exactly they choose to finish the match with. Excuse me, I'm taking another drink of water. So, again, it isn't just Taylor and Gargano who partake in this. It's most of the people in Dragon Gate USA. That's unfortunate, I know, but as well as in Ring of Honor, and as I said before, I know it's kind of passé to just bash Ring of Honor because everyone does it, but it's one of those things that I really feel like they need to get past. They need to stop letting matches go on for 5 minutes too long because guys want to hit every single one of their 19 finishers. It's not necessary. I mean, I think people would be just as satisfied with a regular match that just goes on for the designated amount of time and then ends with a finish. It's not a complicated procedure, I don't think, anyway. But it's probably not something that's going to change anytime soon. I would like for it to, but again, I'm not going to expect Ring of Honor to change what they're doing after 9 years or 10 years, I guess. But that's my little rant on Fist, on Chuck Taylor and Johnny Gargano. Hopefully I won't have too many more of those, but we'll see. Yeah. Okay, that was the the extremely long explanation for the most overrated tag team of the year. Let's move on in the awards show. Yes, we're still part of that. Let's see. Here's a good one. The Most Annoying Audience Chant Award. This goes to the chants that the audience chant that are basically ruining matches when they happen. And the winner of the most annoying audience chant is, "This is awesome! This is awesome!" And you know why? Because nothing takes me out of the moment quicker than that chant. If I'm enjoying a match, I'm focused on it. I'm intently watching what happens. And when you hear a bunch of people who think the same thing but decide to voice their opinion by chanting one of the stupidest phrases I've ever heard, followed by clapping, it just completely ruins the moment for me. And that's happened on several occasions. And I hate to bash on Tennessee again, but I mean, the crowd seemed a little bit overeager to hand out the "This is awesome" chants or the "Holy poop" chants, which they did for things that really shouldn't deserve a holy poop chant. You know, a holy poop chant should emanate from something like what was it? Daisuke Sekimoto's four-man German suplex at last year's King of Trios. That deserves a holy poop chant because a guy suplexed four guys at the same time. But Tennessee just kind of they gave him a holy poop for like a springboard plancha or something like that from firing. I don't remember. It's been like 3 days since I watched that. I don't know. But the "This is awesome" is just it's probably the worst chant ever. I'd also like to give honorable mentions to "What?" and "Woo!" because they're both very disruptive in every single sense, but they're never going away. They're never, ever, ever going away. It's a shame. Let's move on to something more pleasant, shall we? Let's go to the Michael Cole Award for lack of excellence in announcing. Yes, this is the first of the named awards. And by named, I mean it has a name attached to it. And the winner of the Michael Cole Award for lack of excellence in announcing goes to Jim Ross. No, I'm just kidding. It's Michael Cole. Ha ha ha! I kidded you out for a second. Seriously, Michael Cole is one of the reasons I stopped watching WWE programming. He was ruining Raw, and he was just ruining every show he was on. It's really a bad idea to have your play-by-play man be the heel. You should have. I know it sounds stupid, and I know it's like, oh, you're just doing tradition, it's boring, or whatever. No, you need to have a play-by-play guy who is either indifferent to the outcome or favors the baby faces, and you need to have a former wrestler be the color commentator, and he's the heel. That's the way it's worked for, however many decades, and there's no reason you should switch it up at this point. There's a reason that Michael Cole was great in, what was it, 2009? Because his co-commentator was JBL, who was probably the best heel commentator I've seen in years. And Michael Cole was actually being elevated to JBL's level because he had such a great partner. But with Jerry Lawler at this point on Raw and Booker T on SmackDown, he's got these kind of milquetoast babyface former wrestler color commentators, and it brings down the product as a whole because it makes the shows unwatchably bad. That's not the only reason why they're unwatchably bad, but Michael Cole is a huge reason why I refuse to watch WWE programming unless there's something that I read about either on dirt sheets or spoilers or something like that that turns out to be something amazing that I have to watch. And there's one of those that I'm going to discuss a bit later in the top number lists. Now for the Jim Ross Award for Excellence in Announcing. And the award is going to be given to two people, or jointly one person in WWE, one person from Chikara. And I originally wanted to give this award to CM Punk, but then I remembered that, oh right, he stopped commentating in December of last year. I thought his commentary had moved into 2011, but I was apparently wrong. So this award is being given to Jim Ross of WWE, obviously, and Bryce Remsburg of Chikara, probably the screamiest announcer you will ever hear, but he's also incredibly funny to listen to all the time. And Jim Ross is Jim Ross. Why the hell would I not give Jim Ross an award that is named after him? That's just silly. So, congratulations to Jim Ross and Bryce Remsburg. I hope at some point you two can be a commentation team together. No, I'm kidding. That would be the world would explode with the awesomeness. All right. The next award is the Gregory Iron Award for Most Inspirational Wrestler of the Year. And of course, the winner, who will win this every year until he retires or dies, of course, is Gregory Iron. For those of you who don't know, which would kind of surprise me at this point, Gregory Iron is a wrestler who has cerebral palsy, and he's basically had to battle through that, as well as a lot of a difficult home life for most of his life, and the fact that he has overcome both a difficult childhood and this usually very debilitating disease is nothing short of a miracle. And the fact that he can get into a ring and have really good matches with a lot of different people tells me that there's truly something special about Gregory Iron. I will admit that he has kind of his weird. Not obsession, but his vow or whatever that he kind of wants to get into the Royal Rumble in 2012. It seems a little silly. It feels like a marketing ploy more than anything. But I'm not going to tell him to shut it down. I mean, he's Gregory Iron. He'd probably kick my ass. And of course, I would like to give an honorable mention this award to Stephen the Turtle Weiner of the Northeast states, the various northeastern states of wrestling fame, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I'm not speaking very well right now, but Stephen the Turtle Weiner is. I always knew that he was a little different from the first time I heard him doing commentation, and he revealed during. Oh, shoot, was it the Cybernetico? I believe it was the Cybernetico. During Cybernetico this year, that he has autism, and I mean, you wouldn't think it if you wouldn't think it if you met him. You might think, oh, he's just a little quirky, but he's one of the most personable guys. He's very well versed in wrestling. He's very smart, but I would never have thought that he was autistic, and that just to me that's just as inspirational as Gregory Iron, and I'm always entertained when I hear Stephen Weiner, when I hear him on commentation, and it's always a treat. So if you ever get the chance to either see him in the ring or hear him commentate, you should do that, because he's one of the most passionate guys in the business, and I highly recommend it, either watching any of his matches or hearing any of his commentation. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just kind of scanning through the awards that have not been presented yet. Let's see. I'm kind of getting down to the last few awards of the year. The next award is going to be for the best single show of the year, and I'm giving out two of these, one for Chikara, one for WWE. Yes, I'm actually giving WWE a positive award for once, and I will start with that one because why not? I'm going to give the best single show of the year. Actually, I have to give it to two shows that WWE produced because they are intertwined. One of them, or it's actually one leads into the other. the June 27th, 2011 edition of Monday Night Raw, as well as the Money in the Bank pay-per-view a few weeks later. And if you don't know why, then you are obviously listening to the wrong thing. But I will explain it anyway, just in case you want to know. June 27th was the day that it felt like wrestling was going to change forever. June 27th was the day that, at the end of the show, CM Punk picked up the microphone and he broke all the rules. It was probably it could have been the most important promo in the history of wrestling. And I know that sounds like I'm giving him a lot of credit for it, but I honestly feel that had WWE capitalized on this whole angle with CM Punk, and they did for a little while, but I feel like if they had let him continue, if they had let the story continue, it would have been possibly the best storyline ever. But we're going to discuss what happened about that later. And of course, the best single show. Oh, sorry. I also have to. There is one other thing that I have to mention about Money in the Bank. That, of course, being one Mr. Daniel Bryan Danielson winning the SmackDown Money in the Bank award. SmackDown Money in the Bank briefcase. There we go. I wish I could breathe through my nose right now. Pardon this noise for a minute. No, that didn't help at all. Well, I can't breathe through my nose. That's great. Why does this always happen when I try to record things? Sorry. Anyway. Yeah, Money in the Bank was worth it just for watching Mr. Bryan Danielson winning the SmackDown Money in the Bank briefcase, and for CM Punk actually living up to his word, winning the title, winning the WWE title, and leaving the company with it. That was, yeah. We're going to discuss that storyline a little bit more in detail later, but for now it's just a taste. And you didn't see that, but I had kind of a weird little thing with my hands where I just kind of, never mind. It's better you don't know. And of course, the best show of the year for Chikara was, of course, its first ever iPay-per-view, High Noon. Why is it the best? Well, for one, every match was great. There was not another show during the entire year where every match was no less than great. I really wanted to say that King of Trios was what was up there, but again, it was kind of tainted by a couple of Fist matches, a couple of the Trios matches involving Fist, and it was, other than that, I mean, King of Trios was a fantastic show, and if you ever get the chance to buy it, you should. But if you only have $20 to spend on any wrestling DVDs for the year, you should pick up High Noon, because several storylines were resolved. Every match was no less than great, including several that were just outstanding, as well as the first ever grand champion, the first ever singles champion, finally being crowned in a Chikara ring, and it was a truly special moment, especially for the family of the late Larry Sweeney, who presented the award to Eddie Kingston. It was a really great moment, and you should definitely purchase that if you ever get the chance. I recommend it very much. Sorry, I had to have to kind of compose myself after thinking about the High Noon. Also, I need to look through the awards, because as I stated earlier, I'm going completely out of order, and I have to remember which awards I have given out and which ones I have not. Let's see, we did that one, and that one. I believe we just have a couple left at this point. I'm just checking to make perfectly sure. I know I probably should have done put these together a little bit better, organized them. But again, I didn't. Not again. This is the first time I'm telling you this. My goal this year was to watch every Chikara show again near the end of the year, so I would be able to get a much more complete viewpoint on the entire show. Unfortunately, I decided to wait until about 2 weeks ago to watch all of the shows, and with 27 shows to watch in 2 weeks, you can tell my brain got a little fried after a while. So also, I just finished watching the last couple of shows yesterday, so I didn't really get much of a chance to do exactly what I wanted to do. If I really had planned this out, I would have gotten some video clips of some of the things that I wanted to, that I have been discussing, and some of the things that I will be discussing, just in order to give you a better image of what exactly I'm talking about. But unfortunately, I was not able to do that, so you will have to do with the pictures that I've been putting up and the videos that I've been linking to. And if I get the chance, I may try to get some of the clips that I've been talking about. I will try to get those stitched together or something. I don't know. I'll figure something out soon. Don't worry. Well, yeah. So look for it just in case, but don't expect it anytime soon. But hopefully we'll get something like that. I don't know. I'm just rambling at this point. Okay. The next award is the Best on the Mic award, and we have 3 winners, two single competitors, and a tag team. We have 1 representative from WWE, and the other 2 are both from Chikara, obviously. But the WWE winner, as already mentioned before in a very recent, in fact, the last award, the winner for the Best on the Mic in the WWE category goes to CM Punk. I think that deserves entirely no explanation, because it's pretty obvious why. The single wrestler who is the Best on the Mic, who receives the Best on the Mic award for Chikara, is of course Eddie Kingston. Is that the first time I've mentioned him today? God, how long? Let's see. This podcast is almost 48 minutes in, and this is the first time I've mentioned Eddie Kingston. That's got to be some sort of a record. But anyway, I'll talk more about Eddie Kingston and his year a little bit later. And of course, the Best on the Mic tag team, representing Chikara, is Scott Parker and Shane Matthews 3.0. And I have a couple of examples a little bit later in one of my top number lists of a couple of their spectacular promos. Yeah, you'll see soon. Okay. We're getting down to the last couple of awards. I know I just said that right before I did the Best on the Mic award. I told you, this is mostly improvised, people. This is all mostly an outline I've got written down, and the rest of it's just garbage spewing from my mouth. It's diarrhea of the mouth, but that's really disgusting, so I'm not going to actually use that phrase. Okay. The Rookie of the Year award, the very prestigious Rookie of the Year award, I guess, goes to the man or woman who has shown great promise in his or her first year of competition. Sorry, there are children outside my apartment that are screaming a lot, and I don't know why. It's very annoying. Anyway, the Rookie of the Year this year is actually a man who I did not know was someone else in another company or several other companies, and I feel really embarrassed about not knowing that until today. The award for Rookie of the Year goes to one Archibald Peck, who may in several other wrestling promotions, including Ring of Honor, is known as Barrister R.D. Reynolds. Or no, I'm sorry, R.D. Reynolds. What the hell am I talking about? R.D. Evans. Duh. Sorry. Botch. Sorry. Yes, Barrister R.D. Evans. I did not even know that they were the same person, but that's mostly because I don't watch Ring of Honor. But in his Chikara gimmick, He is Archibald Peck, the leader of the band. And what kind of band is this? A marching band. Yes, indeedy do. But his first appearance in February, if my memory serves correctly. I believe so. Yes. Yes, indeed. His first appearance was in a loss to Eddie Kingston, which is no surprise. But after that, he went on an impressive string of victories. God, I can't breathe through my nose. What is wrong with me? I'm actually going to pause this thing for just a second so I can try to get my nose a little bit fixed. Okay, my nose isn't going to get fixed anytime soon. So I'm just going to continue on. Archibald Peck debuted as an in-ring competitor in February in a loss to Eddie Kingston. But then he compiled an impressive string of wins against the likes of Colt Cabana and Sugar Dunkerton, and actually did fairly well in the Young Lions Cup this year. Unfortunately, he was eliminated in the second round, the semifinals, second round, same thing, by one Tadasuke, and he will be mentioned actually right after this. But Peck has proven that he is one of the most entertaining guys in the ring, and he's lucky that not lucky, but he's been blessed to have been given such great people to work with, such as Colt Cabana and Dasher Hatfield and Sugar Dunkerton, other throwbacks, as well as being put into a trios team with El Hijo del Ice Cream and Ice Cream Jr., Los Ice Creams. Probably one of the funniest trios I've ever seen in my life. But not only has he proven to himself to be incredibly funny while he's talking in the ring, but he's also a pretty good he's also a pretty good mat technician, shall we say. He's pretty competent in the ring as a wrestler, not just as a funny man. But it's good to see that there's a guy who can be whose character can be as silly as slapstick as he is, and yet still be a surprisingly good heel. I think a lot of that stems from his valet Veronica. God, I'm sorry, my nose is just so annoying right now. I'm gonna pause again for a moment. I'm sorry to keep pausing, but I'll be back shortly. Okay, back and feeling a little bit better at the moment. We'll see how long that lasts. What was I talking about? Probably still about Marchy Archie, huh? I believe I was talking about how he can still get over as a heel despite the fact that he's so silly in the ring. What I was going to say, I believe, was that he can still make a believable heel despite his goofy nature. Would be, I think, twofold. First off, the fact that he does, in fact, use heelish and nefarious tactics in the ring to win. Things like eye pokes and low blows and that sort of thing. And, of course, the other part being his valet, Veronica, the majorette of the band. She is much more evil, I guess would be a word, than Archibald. And she has helped him win several matches by distracting the referee while Archibald picks up her baton and whacks someone over the head with it. So we will see what happens, because it's the end of 2011 saw the potential breakup of the band, which would be unfortunate for one Mr. Archibald Peck. But maybe clearer skies are ahead. We have yet to see, but I'm sure we will once season 11 begins in the Chikara ring. I don't know why I got really dramatic there for a moment. Yes. All right. The next award the next award is the biggest mistake of the year. Now, biggest mistake is probably a little bit harsh for this, but I'm gonna say it anyway, just because I felt it I felt this way as soon as as soon as this event occurred, and a good let's see, how long has it been? 4 or 5 months later, I forget exactly how long because my brain is scrambled right now. I can look though. I can use this fantastic thing called the internet to find out very quickly, hopefully very quickly, not so long that you guys would stop listening just because of the fact that I'm doing nothing but stalling for time while I'm looking for something that so it was crazy. So I felt this way back in August when this event first happened, and I feel the same way now, and that is Tadasuke winning the Young Lions Cup. Yeah. Why did I not think this was a good idea? Well, out of the 4 guys who actually did win their 4-way elimination matches to advance to the semifinals, everyone else seemed more qualified to win the Tadasuke. For reference, the other 3 guys who made it to the semifinals were Green Ant, Jacob Hammermeyer, and Archibald Peck. And my nose is already clogging up again. God damn it, this is annoying. I'm sorry for the running commentary on my nose. It's just, I really wish it wouldn't stop up while I was trying to record audio with my voice, because it makes me sound sick or something. I don't know. Okay. Anyway, the other main reason why I feel that giving the Young Lions Cup to Tadasuke was a mistake was that he hasn't come back to the United States and he hasn't defended the title, as far as I know, has not defended the title in Japan either. So basically it's like one of the titles just disappeared and has been nowhere to be seen for the last 4 months. And unless by some miracle Tadasuke decides to come back to the States, only to come back and drop the title, we may not see that again we may not even see the title again until Young Lions Cup 10 in August of 2012, which would be incredibly sad, because Frightmare set the bar really high last year by holding the title for the entire year and becoming the person with the most title defenses in a year with 7, which may not sound like a lot, but when you consider that Chikara runs shows maybe 2 shows a month on average, and it would be highly irregular for him to defend the Young Lions Cup 2 nights in a row, that he defended the cup, basically 7 out of the 12 months he held it. So that's pretty good, I would say, from a statistical standpoint, which is entirely bullshit. God, I'm so sorry about my nose. It's I know I shouldn't apologize about something like this, but it's so freaking annoying. And I don't know what's wrong with it, and I don't know if there's anything that could fix it. Probably not. It's probably just because I've been talking for so goddamn long at this point. Anyway, trying to get back on topic. Tadasuke, I don't even feel like he was really that good of a... I'm completely lost at this point. I don't normally do podcasts. Obviously I don't normally do podcasts in the first place, but I especially don't record things like this for an hour straight, let alone even more than this, because there's plenty more to come on the second half of this thing. So giving the Young Lions Cup to Tadasuke was a mistake in my eyes, and I feel like it could have been given to anyone else and it would have been a better idea, just because most of the other people would still be here to defend it every once in a while. Okay, let's see here real quick. Gotta look back through the lists. Or I suppose just the list. Okay. Oh, right. This is a fantastic little award that I came up with earlier this year. And I'm calling it the That's Just Wrong Award. This is for certain spots that made me cringe in horror and yell, "That's just wrong!" So, there were 3 nominees for this year's That's Just Wrong Award. The first one is El Generico's Brainbuster to Eddie Kingston. I should preface this by saying this is on their season opener in January. El Generico and Eddie Kingston had a hell of a match near the end of the show, and near the end of that match, El Generico decided to hit Eddie Kingston with a brainbuster on the ring apron, and Kingston landed almost directly on the back of his head. It was just ugh. It still gives me ugh. It's just ugh. And I'm fairly certain. No, I'm not fairly certain. I know that particular spot was featured on the Throwdown Lowdown at some point over the year, and I'll set up a link to it during this, so go watch it and you'll understand why I have it sent shivers down my spine, and I'm sure it sent shivers down Eddie Kingston's spine when it happened too. The second nominee for the That's Just Wrong Award is Tim Donst for his Beal throw on Nick Jackson of the Young Bucks. But the main difference being that Tim Donst used Nick Jackson's nipples to do the Beal throw. Yeah, that was just you just kind of just have to hold your hand up to cover your chest after that, because it's just kind of I know that's a super descriptive by me to explain exactly how that felt, but you have to see it to just. And the final nominee for the That's Just Wrong Award is Atsushi Kotoge from Osaka Pro, and his that's the best way I can describe it, his headbutts to 1-2 Johnny Gargano and 1-2 Fire Ant. One moment, please. I'm going to find out exactly when those occurred. Was it this time? Yes, it was, in fact. The headbutt to Gargano occurred on October 7th at the Small But Mighty show during the Campeonatos de Parejas match between Kotoge and Harada, Atsushi Kotoge and Daisuke Harada, and Chuck Taylor and Johnny Gargano. It was disturbing. And the following night, was it the following night? Looking. Yes, it was. The following night at Clunk and Love, they're showing their infamous show in Kingsport, when Kotoge did the same exact headbutt to Fire Ant. Now, the reason that these headbutts are so disturbing is because you could hear them, and they were really loud, and it was good. The skull on skull sound is just it's the winner. I don't even want to. I want to stop thinking about it. The winner is Kotoge for his headbutts. Just ugh. I'm moving on. Okay, this is the last award that I have written up for the moment, and the award is kind of all-encompassing at this point. This is the award for Best or Worst Storyline or Feud, and I'm going to get one of each from WWE and Chikara. Yes, even Chikara had some bad feuds. But we're going to start with WWE because they're more mainstream. I don't know why that matters. The best feud or storyline in WWE this year was, of course, CM Punk with his pipe bomb gimmick. And, of course, I already discussed the events of June 27th, where CM Punk broke the rules and talked about companies that were not WWE when he talked about leaving Money in the Bank with a WWE title so he could go and defend it in a New Japan Pro Wrestling or Ring of Honor. And, of course, the infamous, "Hey, Colt Commander, how you doing?" that I'm sure everyone remembers at this point, or at least those of you who know what I'm talking about will remember that forever and ever. And, of course, the following few weeks where Punk, showed up at that conference or the convention or whatever that WWE was at, and going out to the AAW, I think, All American Wrestling, that show where he showed up to basically just put Gregory Iron over and basically put Iron on the map for good. And unfortunately, the worst gimmick or worst storyline or feud comes a few weeks later when at SummerSlam, Punk lost the title to Alberto Del Rio thanks to interference from Kevin Nash. And then they went into this stupid feud with CM Punk and Kevin Nash, and it was just the fact that they cut that storyline short. To me, it feels like they could have gone for months with that storyline, even possibly. I had kind of a I wish this would happen moment when Punk came back after his couple week hiatus from Money in the Bank, where he would bring a few select indie talents with him. I believe in my head it was Claudio Castagnoli and Chris Hero, the Kings of Wrestling, and Colt Cabana, to form their own little stable, and to possibly have a few more, and then have him and John Cena or whoever else was going to be the top face at the time, have them kind of embroiled in this feud until SummerSlam, or not SummerSlam, Survivor Series, where they'd have like a big traditional Survivor Series match, and it in my mind it was awesome. But for some reason, Vince decided to go with the whole Kevin Nash interfering. Why? I still don't know. I never will know. It seemed like a humongous waste of everyone's time, and I guess it kind of says to you that this is basically just how Vince feels. Like he'll kind of let the smart marks, the internet wrestling community, he'll toss them a doggy treat once in a while, and then stomp on their dreams a couple of weeks later. That's basically all he's done for the last 10 years or so, isn't it? So, wow, that storyline just really took a negative swing in my mind. How terribly unfortunate. Let's move on to there unfortunately this year in Chikara there are not a lot of feuds, simply because of the Grand Championship basically taking over the entire company from basically April all the way through November. So I guess I'm going to give the best storyline to Chikara for the 12 Hour Summit and everything that happened there. It set up a few interesting feuds. It has the potential for some interesting feuds next year. But as it was okay, but it wasn't great, unfortunately. Like I said, Chikara was kind of starved for storylines this year. And I'm actually going to give a special award for the most disappointing feud, which would have to be the Ultramantis Black versus the Dark Army feud, which I don't like giving out this award very much at all. You can't see me, but I'm kind of looking downtrodden and as if I'm guilty of something, and I am, because I feel bad for giving Chikara a negative award. But the feud, it never really took off the way I felt it could have. I think one of the biggest flaws is that Sin Bodhi Kazarni, while he would be he was a great leader for the Dark Army, he's not a very good wrestler. I'm sorry, it felt like every time he was in the ring. God damn it! I'm sorry. My nose is just killing me right now. I'm gonna pause. Well, I'm trying to remember. I'm gonna talk about Sin Bodhi after this. So, apologies for the pause. I'll be right back.
All right, I am back, and I've decided to drop the facade of the voice I'd used earlier in I can't think of the word, but I'm using my real voice now, and I'm going to talk the rest of the show like this. Yes, indeed.
Okay, no, I'm not really. I just wanted to have something fun to bring back after the break. Also, I have removed an article of clothing from the last time. Guess which one and win a prize. You won't, actually. Right. I was discussing Sin Bodhi. I feel like the feud kind of... It should have been the main feud of the year. But because of extenuating circumstances, the Grand Championship, the 12 Large Summit, and Larry Sweeney's unfortunate passing, the feud kind of got pushed to the side, and it never really recovered from that. And I feel like it could have actually, if they had had some match between the Spectral Envoy and the Dark Army, at least one match, and on every show, be it singles, tag team, trios, or anything else, if they could figure it out, it might have kept the feud going. Also, I feel like at the end of the end of the season, at High Noon, after Ultramantis defeated Ares and won the Eye of Tyr back, they didn't really. I found this out later because I had to kind of look it up to see exactly how the story was resolved, because the entire plot went that Ultramantis promised the Eye of Tyr to Sin Bodhi in order, or in what's the word? In exchange. That's the word. Exchange. Yes, I was searching for that word. In exchange for training the Dark Army and help, and so that Ultramantis could face the BDK in the first place. But of course, since Ultramantis did not have the Eye of Tyr because Ares, I'm also not clear on this part if he stole it or if he took it back, because a couple of days ago I went and I read the world's worst source of information, Wikipedia. I read the Wikipedia page for the whole BDK storyline, and it's never really explained whether or not Ares was actually the rightful owner of it or not. From what I read, it just said that Dr. Cube from the Kaiju Big Battle promotion, which is another promotion that everyone should check out because it is ridiculously awesome. But I'm getting way off topic at this point. Dr. Cube came into possession of the Eye of Tyr, but they never said how. And I wonder, was Ares the original owner? And if so, it feels like he really got the large end of the royal shaft when he had to give it back to Ultramantis after Ultramantis took it from Dr. Cube. It's a complicated story, but I'm wondering now. Sorry, I was going to get back to the Sin Bodhi thing. Apparently, after High Noon ended, Ultramantis gave a fake Eye of Tyr to Sin Bodhi so that Bodhi would leave him alone. And from what I understand, that means that Bodhi is done with Chikara. But that leaves several questions unanswered, and I'm hoping that they're going to be answered by the season opener. That, of course, being not for example, but my questions include, is Delirious now back under the control of Ultramantis? Will Delirious be... will he and Hollowicked be able to reform Incoherence, or will they still be part of the Spectral Envoy? Will Hollowicked even stick around with Ultramantis now that Ultramantis has the Eye of Tyr back? Will the Batiri be under Ultramantis' command now, or are they their own group? I mean, it would make sense that they would be under Ultramantis' power because, he. Excuse me. Wow, my throat's getting rust. My throat is getting raw right now. Where was I? Batiri. Are they going to be part of Ultramantis' stable? I mean, does this mean that the Spectral Envoy is now going to be the most dominant stable in the promotion? I mean, these are all questions that are burning in my mind, and I have no answers to them, and I won't have answers for them for another month at least. So, I mean, I guess that's the one good thing that's come out of the feud, is that I now have questions that have yet to be answered, which is great. It's just unfortunate that I had to suffer through the feud itself, in order to get to the good stuff. But, hey, it happens sometimes, I guess. Okay, with that incredibly long-winded explanation about what I felt was a disappointing feud in Chikara, I'm now going to get to the worst feud ever, or the worst storyline ever. And funnily enough, it also involves the worst in the world, that of course being Icarus of Fist. And I'm wondering, cast your mind's eye back to the year what year was it? Hold on, internet break. Okay, that was terrible. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that again. Typing. I need to find something out really quickly. So I'm going to use Wikipedia again. Sorry, I'm trying to figure it out really quickly. Okay, there it is. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Cast your mind back to October of 2009. Cast your mind back to Friday Night SmackDown. October 30th. When one Michelle McCool gave Mickey James the unfortunate nickname of Piggy James. You remember that feud? You remember how no one liked that? No one liked that? Seriously? No one liked that? Yeah. This year, Icarus proclaimed to us that Gregory Iron was faking his cerebral palsy. Just no. Just no. That's not cool, dude. I don't even want to talk about it. Okay, it was sickening. Leave it at that. Okay, well, I thank you for joining me for the awards section of this ridiculous, supermassive, gigantic podcast of doom. Oh my god, I'm an hour and 20 minutes in and I'm not even done. And I still have to edit this all together and put it before January 1st. Yes, it's the not quite 11th hour. It's more like the 18th hour. I've got 6 hours to finish everything. So let's go. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go and delve right into the top number lists. This is basically going to be a compilation. Compilation. Sorry, my nose is acting up yet again. A compilation of lists of just my favorite various subjects. These are going to be, I guess, somewhat rapid fire because I think at this point I've overstayed my welcome, and you've probably long since finished your sandwich and are now wishing that you had made two. So let's go right into this. Let's go snap, fast. Not really. I'm not going to do that. But so I'm going to start off with the big one. Yeah, that's what she said. I know. I'm not supposed to call my own jokes, but whatever. My favorite male wrestlers. These are all going to these are going to be in no particular order, because I feel like trying to name one of these people or one of these memories as the best is an exercise in futility. So I will just name off my five favorite male wrestlers of the year. They're not, they're all equally entertaining, and there's no reason I should list one above the other. 5 favorites are of this year, 2011, were Eddie Kingston, Lightning Mike Quackenbush, El Generico, Johnny Saint, and CM Punk. Eddie Kingston had a spectacular 2010, and he capped off 2011 by becoming the first ever Chikara Grand Champion. Mike Quackenbush continued to run the best wrestling company in the world in Chikara, as well as having a lot of really good matches with a lot of different people. El Generico has continued to be probably the funniest, the single funniest person, as well as the guy you just want to cheer for all the time, because he feels like an underdog even though we know he isn't, and he's just, I don't know, he's just got something. He's got it. And I'm so happy that he was in Chikara for the few shows that he was in, and I hope to see him. I'm getting ahead of myself. Johnny Saint, simply put, okay, let me rethink that. If Hulk Hogan was wrestling in 15 years, you'd probably start killing people. Johnny Saint is 70 years old, and he's better than 99% of the wrestlers in the world. He is a legend on the British scene, which is not very well known. But if you ever get the chance to watch any match involving Johnny Saint, do it, because you will be entertained. The British style is very different. Fair warning. It's not revolving around strikes and that kind of thing. It's about sportsmanship and great catch-as-catch-can wrestling. So don't expect a knockdown, drag-out fight. Expect to see extremely well-paced technical wrestling. It's simple as that. It's fantastic stuff. It's easy to find anywhere on the internet, I'm sure, on YouTube or that kind of thing. And CM Punk, what else do I have to say about him? I got nothing. He's the best that WWE has to offer right now. All right, now I have my 5 favorite female wrestlers of the year, in no particular order at all. We had Sarah Del Rey, Toshie Uematsu, Manami Toyota, Natty Neidhart, and AJ Lee, or possibly just AJ. Sarah Del Rey probably had the most... I don't know what I'm saying anymore. Sarah Del Rey broke off from the BDK and kicked the shit out of Aries. That was awesome. And now she is probably... She's really high up and will probably get at least... I would really hope to see a title match, a Grand Championship title match between her and Eddie Kingston. That would be freaking epic. I would love to see that. Toshie Uematsu is a Japanese talent, a Joshi talent, who made her debut for Chikara earlier in the year, and then also was part of the Joshi Mania event. And apparently the Joshi Mania was going to be her last U.S. appearances because she was retiring. She is retiring, or she might be retired at this point. And it's sad to see that she's going, but at the same time, I think she knows that she's leaving a fantastic legacy. Admittedly, I'd never heard of her before this year, but if you haven't seen her, I would highly recommend checking out any one of these shows in which she is a part of in Chikara, at least. She's just the right combination of kooky, creepy, and funny. That just she's very endearing. And as a side note, quite possibly the perfect combination. She and the Batiri teamed up on night 3 of Joshi Mania, and never would I have thought anyone would be a more perfect fit for the Batiri than Toshie Uematsu. But she definitely proved that she is perfect for the role, and she's really a treat to watch, just because she's like I said before, she's just the right combination of kooky, creepy, and funny that I find so very entertaining. Manami Toyota, I don't need to explain myself there, do I? I'm not going to explain myself. Natty Neidhart, again, I admittedly haven't really been keeping up with WWE. Same with AJ Lee. I haven't really kept up with WWE programming, but judging off of the last year or so, however long Natty has been on TV, she's been probably the most gifted in-ring competitor, or the most gifted in-ring female competitor that WWE has to offer, and probably one of the better in-ring competitors overall that they have to offer. And well, I mean, AJ, she's a Spock plug. I like her. Plus, she recently accepted my friend request on Facebook, so I'm happy about that. I'm lame. But AJ's just kind of that. She's the girl that she helps get that demographic of nerds who wish they could date a girl like her. That she brings in that audience to the WWE shows, I think. Anyway, all right. I'm moving on to my favorite tag teams of the year. These are two-person teams, obviously, as the name tag team would suggest. And let me count really quick again. I think it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5. My 5 favorite tag teams of the year. And this one I'm actually going to give you which one was my favorite. I'll tell you that last. But in no particular order, the other 4 are Atsushi Kotoge and Daisuke Harada from Osaka Pro, as mentioned earlier. The Batiri, Los Ice Creams 3.0, and my favorite tag team of the year is the Throwbacks. Now, I'm going to explain everything really quickly. Not really quickly. And at this point, I'm standing up because I'm trying to see whether or not that would make it easier to breathe. We'll see. Kotoge and Harada, I was first introduced to them last year during the 2010 King of Trios, when where Kotoge was billed as the fastest wrestler alive, and I don't think anyone can argue with that. Honestly, he's it's ridiculous, And we already are the aforementioned headbutts, which I don't want to remember right now. But Kotoge and Harada, or Kotoge and Harada, I'm not sure. They pronounce it differently. But both of them are definitely two of the best wrestlers that Osaka Pro, or pretty much at this point, I think all of Japan has to offer. And I feel like if anyone could have taken the Campeonato de Parejas from Fist, it would have been Harada and Kotoge. The only problem at that point being that had they won, that every title sans the Grand Championship would be in Osaka, which may or may not be a good plan. But unfortunately, they did not win. But I would definitely like to see them back more often, or if nothing else, at least at King of Trios 2012. Batiri, I know I crapped a lot on Kodama earlier, but really they at this point are probably the easiest tag team to hate. Like they're the only really de facto true heel tag team. I mean, Fist tries to be kind of silly and goofy sometimes. The Batiri they just are evil and angry all the time, and that to me says something. I think, and again, this is no offense to Kodama or even their other stablemate, Kobold, but Oberian to me really is kind of the breakout star of that group, and he is probably one of my favorite singles guys who isn't like the top guys in the world. I was going to give him an award for the most intense wrestler, but I didn't think my vocal cords would be able to stand it, because I would be screaming that entire award out. Also, I had the Hamtastic award, but it's slightly different, you know. But anyway, the Batiri have tons of potential and are already really good in the ring. They can only go up from here. That's the hope, anyway. Who's next? Shoot. Los Ice Creams. El Hijo del Ice Cream and Ice Cream Jr. What to say that hasn't already been said? Really, there's, just let the video speak for themselves, okay? It's as simple as that. 3.0, Scott Jagged Parker, Big Magic Shea Matthews. I'll talk about them later. The throwbacks, though, I've already discussed them. I feel like Dasher Hatfield and Sugar Dunkerton are two of the better workers in the entire Chikara roster. Also, they're both great as a tag team and both great singles wrestlers, which is something that you do not find every day. Not to mention the fact that both guys can be uproariously funny, and they can be just so entertaining any given day of the week. They really proved themselves this year when they started their winning ways finally, and unfortunately they did cash in their tag title shot and lost to Fist, which is a huge disappointment to me. But here's hoping that 2012 will be the throwbacks year. All right, now we're going to move on to my favorite trios. And for those of you who are uninitiated, a trio is basically a three-person tag team, kind of like the Freebirds or other people like that. Excuse me. And this one also has a clear number one favorite, but the other three the other four, yes, are no slouches either. So the 4 that are not number 1 are Team 3.0 Olay, the Throwbacks with Matt Classic, the Colony, and Michinoku Pro. Admittedly, Michinoku Pro is basically like a one-time deal, but I can't not mention them at all. Wait. I have to mention them at some point during this podcast. Yes, that's the point. But the number 1 trio by far for me was the Soul Touches. So I'm going to talk briefly. Well, 3.0 Olay needs no real explanation. It's 3.0 plus El Generico. The Throwbacks with Matt Classic, or the Throwbacks with Matt Classic. The Colony, 2011 Kings of Trios. All of them incredibly talented, fantastic workers. Limitless potential for Green Ant. Michinoku Pro, yes, they were only around for King of Trios weekend, but honestly, when you put Dick Togo, Jinsei Shinzaki, and the Great Sasuke together on one team, they eclipse everything else. They were probably the coolest trio who were not the Soul Touches. Marche Rocket. Oh damn it! I forgot. Okay, post award show award. The best chops in the business goes to Mr. M80, Marche Rocket. Oh my God, those chops must hurt. It sounds like a freaking gunshot every time he chops someone. Oh my God, it's amazing. You just have to hear it to believe it. Sorry. Getting back into the favorites. Marche Rocket, probably one of the best wrestlers in the world, who is probably one of the least known best wrestlers in the world, I think. Acid Jazz. He's kind of like the not the odd man out, because he's a great wrestler. But I feel like he might be slightly overshadowed by Marche Rocket, and of course, the Urban American Dream, Willie the Bomb Richardson, who, if ever I could call anyone an inspiration for, if I ever try to get into this business any further than doing podcasts, I'd probably list Willie Richardson as one of my influences or inspirations would be a better term for him, I think. Willie Richardson is basically, he reminds, obviously with his nickname, the Urban American Dream, he's reminiscent of one Dusty Rhodes, in body type only, really. Willie's kind of, he's one of those guys like Samoa Joe or Umaga, the big guys you don't think would be able to do the crazy shit they do, but they do it anyway. Willie's one of those guys, and I have the utmost respect for Willie Richardson just because of some of the crazy shit he does. And just all three of them combined, the Soul Touches are untouchable. Okay, we're moving on to favorite guest appearances. This is basically, I'm listing off people who made 5 or fewer appearances at a Chikara event or weekend. Most of them I've already mentioned. Well, no, that's not true. Not most of them. 2 of them, Toshie Uematsu and El Generico. But he was in 6. Well, you just shut up. This high noon match was a dark match. All right. Yeah. Okay. That actually played out a lot better in my head earlier. And the other 2, of course, being Colt Cabana and the Young Bucks. Colt Cabana, nothing needs to be said except listen to the Art of Wrestling podcast. It's amazing. And the Young Bucks made their triumphant return to indie wrestling and to Chikara. And I remember seeing them a couple of years ago, and they just felt like nothing but spot monkeys. And they have gotten so much better than the last time I saw them, and I'm very impressed. And I hope to see them a lot more. I hope to see them contend for the tag titles, although I really don't want to see one of those games of one-upsmanship between the Young Bucks and Fist, because that would be the most boring thing ever. But I'd like to. I do like the. I like the Young Bucks now, and I definitely would like to see them more in Chikara. And now we're on to my favorite match, and I've listed quite a few more of these because I didn't want to just list a couple because there were a lot of good matches in Chikara this year. And I'm even throwing in one from WWE. Oh my God, what the hell is wrong with me? I know. But really, I'm not going to say which one of these matches was my favorite because they all were. And this is just a smattering of the great matches that were put on this year. So I'm just going to list them out for you, and these are things that you should research for yourself. I'm not going to do everything for you. I'm not going to hold your hand this whole time. You gotta find this stuff out for yourself sometime. So the matches that I deemed to be my favorite of the year were Eddie Kingston versus Mike Quackenbush for the Grand Championship, the last match at High Noon, of course. The Cibernetico match the night before, which was won by Sarah Del Rey. Johnny Saint versus Johnny Kidd at night one of Chikarasaurus Rex. Mike Quackenbush and Johnny Saint versus Colt Cabana and Johnny Kidd at night 2 of Chikarasaurus Rex. El Generico versus the 1-2-3 Kid at the finals of the Rey de Voladores tournament on night 3 of King of Trios 2011. The 10-team tag team gauntlet match on night 3 of King of Trios. Sugar Dunkerton versus Archibald Peck. Hold on, let me find out the event really quickly. I know that one sounds a bit out of place, but I'll tell you why in the next favorites section. Where the heck is that match? Was it after King of Trios or before? Shoot, I can't remember. Where is it? I know it's around here somewhere. I'll find it. Hold on, just a moment. I'll be right there. Maybe I'm wrong. Nope. Okay. So the Sugar Dunkerton versus Archibald Peck was at an anniversary of the legendary Superpowers show, May 22nd. Yes, that one was worth the price of admission alone. Let's see, where else is there? Got that one. Eddie Kingston versus Claudio Castagnoli. What the hell show was that? Was it Creatures from the Tar Swamp? Yes, March 13th. You have to see it to believe it. The trios match from night 3 of Joshi Mania, which had Manami Toyota, Saka Shimono, and oh god damn it, hold on, I can't remember all of their names. Sorry, my memory is terrible right now. Manami Toyota, Sawako Shimono, and Hanako Nakamori taking on Aja Kong, Tsubasa Kuragaki, and Mio Shirai. That was pretty. It felt like it was kind of edging towards that. It was leaning on the precipice of becoming one of those games of one-upsmanship matches or games of one-upswomanship matches. But it teetered on the edge, but it never quite fell off. So it was thoroughly enjoyable. The Throwbacks versus the Roughnecks, the Lumberjack match. Hold on, let me find out where when it was. I should have written this down earlier, huh? That would have been a good idea. Where is it? I don't know. I'll find it. Was it before there? Where the hell is that match? Oh, okay. It was also a Creatures from the Tar Swamp. Same show as Eddie Kingston versus Claudio Castagnoli. Okay. For it being, I think, the first ever Lumberjack match in Chikara history, it was a really good match. Highly recommended. And the one WWE match, or the series of matches that I proclaim to be some of my favorite matches of the year, was the 3-match series between CM Punk and John Cena during the middle of the year. I feel like those two had really strong chemistry in the ring, and they really had. They're both really good wrestlers, and it's simple as that. They have 3 good matches together, and I'd like to go back and watch those at some point, so I probably will, but I don't really have the time right now since I have very little time to edit this all together and make it awesome. All right, the last favorite section, or last top whatever number thingy that I have are my favorite moments of the year. And again, just kind of like my favorite matches, this is just a sample of my favorite moments of the year. I'm just going to list these off the way I wrote them down. First off, of course, is Matt Classic and his dive, I guess you could call it, from the ring apron to the outside. For those of you who don't know, Matt Classic's gimmick is that of an oldie-timey wrestler from like the 1930s or something, a masked wrestler who basically just uses all of the old moves of yesteryear, and of course because he's from the 30s or something, possibly earlier, he is fearful of falling or doing any kind of high flying. So on several occasions he has climbed the turnbuckles, to go for like a big splash, only to climb down off of them and onto the ring apron and then just fall onto anyone who's standing on the floor. It's really a sight to believe. It's a sight for sore eyes. It's hilarious. It's amazing. We also have El Hijo del Ice Cream running headfirst into a ring post, getting knocked out, unconscious because of it, and basically costing his team a victory. This was in a Fatal 4-Way match. I can't remember which one. I'll find it really quickly. I'll try to find it really quickly. I think it was later than that, but I don't know. Shoot. I gotta find it. Hold on. Just give me a second. Where the heck is that? Wow, I can't find it. No, okay. I think it was early in the year. I'm fairly certain it was early in the year. For some reason, I cannot find the name of the show. Wait. Oh, no, that's not it. I thought I found it for a second, but I was wrong. Wait, no, I think yeah, there it is. Okay, I found it. It's from Clutch of Doom, February 20th, which also, I'm going to mention it now, had one of the better endings to any of the Chikara shows I've seen. Yes. Okay, let's see. Archibald Peck. In the Archibald Peck Sugar Dunkerton match, there was a moment where Sugar managed to slip his head out of a side headlock and replace his head with a basketball. Archibald, of course, not thinking anything, just kept cranking on the side headlock, and then flipping over in a takedown. And of course, he's still wrestling a basketball. Then he got pinned. He got rolled up and pinned by a basketball. It was amazing. Let's see. Oh, I have named this certain match between. Hold on, I'll find it again. I really should have done more research before I did this. It's around here somewhere. I know it is. Hold on, just a minute. Oh no, not that one. No. There it is. At Anniversario and his amazing friends. Ultramantis. There's a certain match between one Mr. Ultramantis Black and one Mr. Chuck Taylor, which I have dubbed the Chuck Taylor Ultramantis Black Playground-tastic Chopstravaganza Screamathon. If you want to know what I mean by that, you should probably watch the match. Also, speaking of Anniversario, one of my favorite moments was during a couple of Archibald Peck promos where he believed Anniversario was a person. Yeah. All right. I've also got good old Colin Delaney having to be a part of a four-corner survival match or four-corner elimination tag team contest, also involving Los Ice Creams. And for those of you who don't know, Colin is lactose intolerant, and fighting Los ice creams may get him sick. Thankfully, he had some lactate, so everything was cool. You got to see it. That was on The Evil That Lies Within Part 4, June 26th show is when that was. There was a couple of moments actually, during Claudio Castagnoli's last Chikara match with Icarus, where both Claudio and Icarus performed sort of heel shenanigans on each other. For example, like when they were backed into a corner, the ref was trying to separate them. They both poked each other in the eye at the exact same time. And of course, while the ref's back was turned, they both faked as though they had been kicked in the crotch. And of course, the ref did not believe that. I'm trying to find which episode that was on. For some reason, I cannot find it. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. Really? Oh, it was the Young Alliance Cup. Okay. Young Alliance Cup, August 27th. It was pretty funny. What's the next one? Of course, there were 3 times during the Joshi Mania event where a Joshi star named Gami walked the top rope, much the same way that The Undertaker or Jinsei Shinzaki do it, except she walked from one turnbuckle to a second turnbuckle, and then she walked backwards. That was pretty freaking cool. I think it was. Let's see. Of course, the end of High Noon was a very emotional time, and I already discussed that. So I'm going to gloss over it now. And my last one, probably some of my favorite moments, were pretty much any time 3.0 got a promo. 2 that stick out in particular. One from Maiden Flight of the Great Concord, I think that was what it was called, when Scott Parker dressed up like Road Warrior Hawk, and I have to drink some water before I do this because it would be silly if I didn't. Pardon me. Where Scott Parker, in full face paint and shoulder pad garb, walked up as Road Warrior Hawk and started his promo with, "Well!" And then he delivered a promo as Road Warrior Hawk, and it was beautiful. And then, of course, that show, they came out to the ring dressed up as the Road Warriors. It was awesome. But my favorite promo from them came from... Hold on. What show is it? I'm so disorganized right now. From night 1 of Chikarasaurus Rex, I want to say. I'm pretty sure it is. Where Team 3.0 Lay had just defeated Fist in a trios contest, and they had a promo afterwards, which is rare for a Chikara, especially. And first off, El Generico was wearing a Mr. Bungle t-shirt, which made me squee with delight a bit. And then, of course, at the end of their promo, they broke out into Queen's Somebody to Love. And I can no longer listen to that song and take it seriously, because every time I hear it, I hear Scott Parker and Shane Matthews saying, "Find me somebody to love, find me somebody to love," and then El Generico joins in, "Find me somebody to love, somebody, 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 somebody." It's glorious. I tried to find it on YouTube. I can't find it, but Chikara Rex Night 1, buy it for that. You should be supporting them, all right? I'm telling you right now, you should be supporting Chikara and independent wrestling in general. I should have said this earlier. As a disclaimer, I do not work for Chikara. I'd like to. If they have any jobs available for anyone living on the West Coast, call me. Please. I know they listen. They listened to my last podcast. They gave me a positive review because I gave them a positive review. If you have any jobs available, I'm more than willing to take them on. If it involves moving to the East Coast, it might be difficult. But I don't work for them yet. I'd like to, though. I'd like to be the guy who films the promos for 3.0 is what I'd like to do. Or I'd just like to be there when they deliver their promos because, god damn it, they're funny. All right. Now that I'm done with my favorites of the year, I'm going to look forward to 2012. For example, who would I like to see back in a Chikara ring? People who were there a few times this year, people I like to see more often. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tag teams, several of which I've already mentioned. That's not true. Okay, no, that's true. Several of them I've already mentioned. I mentioned the Young Bucks. I mentioned Harada and Kotoge. Also, Aeroform, who were in one match this year for Chikara, part of the same four-way eliminator as Los Ice Creams and the Olsen Twins, which also featured the Batiri. The Olsen Twins are another tag team I'd love to see back in Chikara. They were only there that one show. This other team, I don't know if they're just done with Chikara or if they just took an extended break. They were not in any shows at all last year, or this year, during 2011, I should say. If you're listening to this in 2012, which chances are you probably are, seeing as how it's now at this point 6:30 p.m. on December 31st, 2011, and I'm still not done. Pressure. But this team, what I'd like to see back, but again, like I said, I don't know if they just stopped going, is the Super Smash Brothers, Player Uno, Player Dos. I miss them. I know they're doing stuff like in PWG, which is probably one of the only other indie promotions I can tolerate watching for any period of time. But I don't know if they're just done with Chikara or if they're just taking an extended break. But I'd love to see them back because they fit in so perfectly with Chikara. And of course, the last tag team that I would like to see in Chikara more often, and I'm going to take a drink of water to heighten the drama. The final tag team I would like to see more often in Chikara is the team of Matt Classic and Darkness Crabtree. That's like 300 years of wrestling experience within those two guys. God, that'd be awesome. I'm just in like full-blown indie mode right now. It's like, I don't even care if you people know what I'm talking about. I'm just going to start talking about it. All right. The singles competitors I would like to see in Chikara next year. Ultimate Spider Jr. from Osaka Pro. He made his debut in Chikara at King of Trios this year. Has his awesome Spider-Man style gimmick. He uses, he has like a webbing which he uses to stick to people and fling them around and stuff. It's not real webbing, it's just imaginary webbing, but it's still awesome. Who's next? Akira Tosawa. If I need to explain myself, you must not know what I'm talking about, obviously. I'm going crazy. Akira Tozawa, simply put, is crazy. But he's a hell of a lot of fun to watch in the ring. Cheech Hernandez was in one show last year. I think that was the same exact show as the Olsen Twins and Aeroform. He faced Shima Zion in a really great match, one I would highly recommend watching. Cheech is hilarious, and he's also really talented in the ring. And I definitely would like to see him more than once a year in a Chikara ring. And of course, the mentioned many eons ago, it feels like at this point, the man of the mustache, Mr. Marion Fontaine. Just for the mustache. There's no other reason he would need to be there. And the last singles competitor I would like to see in a Chikara ring more often, or at all for this matter, is someone who I guess either made her U.S. debut or pro wrestling debut. I'm not sure because I can't find any information on her. She teamed with Dasher Hatfield in the opener and a loss to Los Ice Creams. That would be Saturnine. And Warning, misogynistic comments ahead. I would like to see more of her, not just in a wrestling ring. Bow chicka wow wow. There, I took all the sex appeal out of it. Congratulations. Good luck finding any information on her, because I looked for a while and I couldn't find anything. So, yes. There's no information about her besides the fact that she teamed up with Dasher Hatfield in one match in Chikara in a loss to Los Ice Creams. But she's ridiculously athletic and easy on the eyes. We'll put it like that. Well, let's see. Other things that I'd like to see in 2012 would be a few certain select individuals who are currently under contract to World Wrestling Entertainment, but are now at the moment involved with their Florida Championship Wrestling developmental territory, being brought up to the main roster, and then pushed to the moon forever and ever and ever. There are only a couple right now, but there may very well be more soon. Those two people that I'm talking about are Tyler Black and Claudio Castagnoli. I'm not going to use their WWE names because they're stupid, frankly put. Frankly put? What am I talking about? I don't know. Claudio is the perfect fit. He is pretty much exactly what Vince would be looking for in a wrestler from the indies. Tyler Black has got all the talent in the world. He deserves this kind of a spot. Where exactly in the totem pole he would be, I don't know. He'd be a great mid-carder at least, or a good tag team guy. Feud with guys like Kofi Kingston, or if he was going to be a face, he could feud with guys like the Dolph Ziggler or Cody Rhodes, or those kinds of guys. I mean, really, he could feud with anyone, I'm sure. But I suppose he'd have to start in the mid-card at first. But point is, I'd like to see those two moving up to the main roster. And if the rumors about Chris Hero are true about him potentially signing a deal, I'd love to see the Kings of Wrestling reunite again on WWE TV as the Kings of Wrestling, not as some stupid WWE gimmick that they are given. Whatever. There were a couple of other things that I did want to discuss very briefly that happened during 2011 that I wish would not happen in 2012, but I know they're going to happen anyway, because at this point they've been set in their ways and there's no way they're going to be changing at this point. There's one for Chikara and one for WWE. The Chikara one is the movement towards using different entrance music for pretty much everyone, but that's unavoidable at this point because Chikara is becoming a larger entity in the world, and as such they can't use copyrighted music without having to pay massive royalties, I'm sure. So what they have to do, well, of course what they have to do is they have to have their own songs written for them, which unfortunately whoever's doing their music is bland at best. It started with the Throwbacks and the Roughnecks, and at high noon it happened to the Kings of Trios, it happened to the Colony, and I think the Colonies might be the worst, although the Throwbacks one is pretty bad too. But point is, I really wish that they didn't have to do that, but it's unavoidable when you become a larger entity like Chikara is becoming. The WWE one is something that's actually been happening for the last couple of years, but obviously will never stop happening because Vince is set in his ways and he can't change. His mind cannot be easily swayed, and it's the trend of giving wrestlers bland, uninteresting names and no gimmicks. When you've got guys like Tyler Black who have to use a name like Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is such a soft name. one of the reasons why there are so many memorable names from the 80s and 90s in wrestling, and in Chikara and other promotions nowadays, is because there are lots of hard consonants there. When you hear names like the Big Boss Man, you remember that shit. You remember names like Tyler Black. You remember names like Claudio Castagnoli. You don't remember names like Seth Rollins or Mason Ryan or Briley Pierce, which is the stupidest name I've ever heard in my life. Who the hell names their kid Briley? Who the hell names their kid Riley? That's bad enough. Or Alex Riley. They're so soft names. There are no hard consonants. Also, the trend of giving indie wrestlers with tons of indie cred stupid names that just so that the indie guys cannot claim that they had whatever accolades that they had when they were in WWE. Like the last guy who really got in to use his old indie name was CM Punk. And then when you got guys like Bryan Danielson who have to use the name Daniel Bryan, which is so stupid. I'm sorry. They have such a problem naming people. About the only name I think in recent memory that could be memorable if it were not for the guy being somewhat forgetful and that he hasn't appeared much at all is Brodus Clay. That's got a couple of good hard consonants in there. It's just a shame that so many of the other names, the other wrestlers nowadays, have such forgettable names. It's something that I think they really need to fix. I also think they really need to fix having guys with no gimmicks besides being the angry guy or being the generic face. I mean, Kofi Kingston's gimmick was kind of silly, just being an off-the-boat Jamaican guy, but he had a gimmick, and he was remembered because not only because he was a terrific athlete, but because he had a gimmick. I mean, so many guys that come up in WWE have no gimmick. They're just bland face number 6,493, or detailless heel number 463. You know, they're just guys. There are no interesting qualities about them besides. There are no interesting qualities about them. They're just guys, and really having a good gimmick is almost as good as being a great in-ring competitor. Almost, not completely, but the point is that a good gimmick goes a long way in helping people remember a good wrestler. Who the hell remembers Heidenreich? No one. Why? Because he's nobody. Who the hell remembers Mike Knox besides, hey, he had the giant beard? Why would you remember him for any other reason? That's kind of a gimmick in itself, so never mind. Mike Knox works. Okay. We're almost at the end, kids. Just a little bit more. These are more serious topics that need to be discussed. Or at least one serious topic and then a tribute at the end. I want to talk, hopefully briefly, but possibly not. I don't know. I want to talk about the current state of affairs as in regards to the former ECW Arena, now called the Asylum Arena. I'm sure, as many of you know, many of you who are listening, who are wrestling fans, that the ECW Arena recently was acquired by new owners, and from what has been told, these new owners have very little to no interest in running wrestling shows at the arena. In fact, there was a report issued recently that the arena would actually be shut down in February to undergo major renovations, which would include, I forget exactly what, excuse me, but if I recall correctly, it had something to do with basically dismantling and destroying the locker room, like the locker room area for the boxing and wrestling events that normally take place there, and basically turning the arena from an approximately 1,000 seat arena into a 3,000 seat concert hall. And there have been talks that the heads of the promotions that use the Asylum Arena are going to try to talk to the new owner to see about working out a deal to continue having wrestling events there. And as far as I know, there aren't too many. Sorry, I said that rather weirdly. As far as I know, there are several promotions that still have wrestling events there. The two biggest probably being Combat Zone Wrestling and Chikara. Now, losing a place like the Asylum Arena, like the ECW Arena, I'm going to call it the ECW Arena because that's how it's mostly known to everyone. Losing a place like the ECW Arena, losing it as a venue for wrestling events, would be probably one of the biggest losses for all of independent wrestling. And it would be sorry, I'm getting text messages and I'm going to ignore them. It would be nothing short of a tragedy to lose one of these stalwarts of independent wrestling. And, of course, when I mean stalwarts, I mean the arena, not people necessarily. But to know the history that the arena has, and to think that it could all basically be wiped out because someone wants to make another concert hall in Philadelphia, it hurts, you know? And knowing that there may never be another wrestling event there after January, knowing that CZW would have to find a new place for the Tournament of Death, or the Cage of Death, knowing that Chikara would have to find a new place for King of Trios, for Chikarasaurus Rex. Where else are you going to find a place with the history, with the ambiance, with the rabid fan base of the ECW Arena? You're not going to find one. Chikara has three other locations now in Pennsylvania that they go to on regular occasions. None of those locations, I mean, they go to a place in Easton, they go to a place in Reading, and they go to a place in Williamsport just recently. None of those places are even close to the kind of atmosphere that the ECW Arena that it invokes. And it would be potentially a crushing blow to any promotion that is based in Philadelphia to lose a place like the ECW Arena. Now, I've heard that the owners are open to listening to listening to any wrestling promotion owners about keeping wrestling events there, and I don't pray often for anything because I'm not religious, but I pray that they can keep wrestling events going at the ECW Arena, because I don't know what they would do otherwise. I don't think they know what they would do otherwise. What would happen if you can't have King of Trios at the ECW Arena? Where would you go? Nowhere else seems appropriate. I mean, Easton, Reading, Williamsport, they're decent venues, but like I said before, it's no ECW Arena. I mean, would they go to the Hammerstein Ballroom? That could be a decent replacement. The fans are just as rabid up there. It would fit. It also being a former ECW arena of sorts. But I don't know. I just hope that 2012 brings us good news about the ECW arena. And to cap off this supermassive episode, I'd like to thank you if you've listened this far. Thank you so much for listening, because God knows I won't be able to talk for a while after this. My throat is killing me, but I don't care because I do it for the fans. What fans? I don't know. Thanks for listening, and I'm going to leave you with a tribute. Hello and welcome to the first annual supermassive Rantables Wrestling Podcast End of the Year Awards Show Spectacular! Yay! Woo! Hooray! I don't have an actual crowd. Hey, how you doing? It's been a while, I know, since the last one, and I think that today, of all days, is most appropriate to have a year-end show highlighting some of the best and unfortunately some of the worst things that happened in the year 2011 in terms of the crazy mixed-up world of professional wrestling, or as some people like to call it, sports entertainment. I'm not one of those people. So today was going to be a little bit different from the previous few episodes, because there are no shows that I'm going to be talking about for making picks or review. Well, there's going to be mostly reviews, but I'm going to do something that has been sort of a tradition for me the last couple of years, back when I had a little blog where I would give out the Golden Ranty Awards for excellence or non-excellence in various categories that I decided to make up on the spot. I'm also going to be giving out I'm going to be producing a few top number lists. I say number because there are different numbers for each whatever list. Basically just kind of showcasing some of my favorite people, favorite moments and that sort of thing that have happened over the year. And I've got a couple extra things saved up for the end of the show. So, if you... This may be a fairly long episode, so you may want to go and make a sandwich or something. So I will wait, or you can just pause and come back when you have your sandwich and your beverage of your choice. I don't know how long this episode is going to be, so you might want to prepare some extra food just in case. So please pause the video now, and you can come back when you've got your food. Okay. So, we're going to begin the day with the first annual Rantables Wrestling Podcast Golden Ranty Awards. Yay! Woo-ha! Woo-yay! So, there are quite a few categories that have been created for this particular event, and there are quite a lot of them. So, I hope you're consuming your beverage of choice and or your meal of choice. And I hope this is a very entertaining while for you as I go through all of these various and sundry awards. The first award of the evening is the Sorry, I have to get the Rantables Wrestling envelope. Excuse me for one moment. There we go. Okay, got it. Okay, so the first award goes... the first award is the award for Best Ring Entrance. And let's see here. I have the official envelope. And let's see here. Okay. And the winner is Jacob Hammermeyer in Chikara for his entrance of walking out, announcing himself, running to the back, waiting for the music to turn on, and then walking out as though someone else announced him. Congratulations, Jacob. You're the first winner of the night. Unfortunately, that's the last you're going to win, so enjoy it. Let's see. Our next category is a fairly important category, I would say. This is the Ranty Award for Breakout Star of the Year. I'm actually not even going to bother doing that silly envelope gimmick anymore. So there were a few people during this is I should have prefaced this, shouldn't I? This is going to be mostly focused on the promotion Chikara, with a few WWE things thrown in as well. Why is that, you ask? Because for my money, and they have quite a bit of it, Chikara is the best wrestling promotion in the world, to me. And so a lot of great things have come out of there, and I am trying to highlight those things that they have done that have kept me entertained over the last 12 months. So, with that being said, the winner for Breakout Star of the Year is Green Ant from the Colony. He, for the last year or so, he's basically gone from a trios guy working in the Colony as 1/3 of the Colony with Fire Ant and Soldier Ant, to being a really competent and entertaining singles wrestler, as well as being the only person in the Colony who actually says anything besides random grunts and Sir Yes Sirs from Soldier Ant. And I have to give him credit for running with an admittedly kind of silly storyline with him and Tursus that basically was just a carbon copy of the Lex Luger-Yokozuna feud from the early 90s, with Green Ant playing the part of Lex Luger, and the 375-pound Finnish monster Tursus playing the part of Yokozuna. And it's almost as impressive when you consider that Green Ant is probably half the weight of Tursus, and yet he still managed to give Tursus more than one body slam on more than one occasion, which was quite impressive in my eyes. So not just that, but Green Ant also has had he's had quite a lot of good matches this year, and both solo and with as a part of the Colony, and of course being 1/3 of the 2011 King of Trios certainly helps out with his breakout stardomness. Yes, okay. Yeah, okay. So the next award goes for the... Oh, that's actually... I'm going to skip that one for now. I'm going to come back to that later. The best name of a wrestling move. There were not many nominees this year. In fact, I only had 2 of them, because only 2 of them actually made me kind of chuckle when I heard them. So, the winner of the best name of a wrestling move goes to the Even Toe, also known as the Knee DT. For those of you who don't know what a Knee DT is, it's basically a DDT, except you hit an opponent's leg with your hit on the mat instead of someone's head. For those of you who don't know what a DDT is, why are you listening to this? No, a DDT is basically when one guy grabs another guy's head, puts it under his arm, and then just drops and drives the guy's head into the mat. So an EDT is that, but with a leg instead of a head. And I'm going to give an honorable mention in this category to the finishing maneuver of the Tag Team 3.0, which we'll be hearing plenty about later on, for their finisher called the Sweet Taste of Professionalism. It's basically like I believe it's an elevated wheelbarrow lung blower kind of move. It's pretty cool, I would think. I do think. Screw that, whatever. Okay, our next award is for the best. Still, even almost a year after, even a year or more after his debut last year in September, was it? I believe it was September. He's still botching some moves, although it is definitely less noticeable than it was last year. There were still some fairly unpleasant-looking spots where he would. There's one very memorable one where he's supposed to be taking a step-up Frankensteiner from Hollowicked, but instead of standing and then flipping forward, he fell backwards, and Hollowicked practically landed on his head, and Kodama also injured his shoulder. But that was back in January, so he was still he'd only been wrestling for about 5 or 6 months at that point. So it's somewhat forgivable, but still it was a really dangerous looking spot, and it's unfortunate that anyone would have to receive this award, but it's going to Kodama. So let's move on to the next award. This is what's next? The most underrated wrestler or wrestlers. Hint, hint. The fact that I would even consider anyone from WWE to be underrated is a bit of a laughable offense, I guess I should say. So I'm pretty much going to skip them as well. But the award is actually going to be awarded to a team, a tag team, and it is going to be awarded jointly to the team of Sugar Dunkerton and Dasher Hatfield, the Throwbacks. Why am I giving them this award? It's simple, really. Because even though they're both incredibly entertaining guys, both in and out of the ring, both guys are probably two of the better workers in the entire company. Not only they're not necessarily the most athletic or the most technically gifted or the most they're not high flyers of the caliber of someone like an Evan Bourne or that sort of person, but they're great workers. They kind of know how to work a story into a match, and that really says something to me. It says that they've worked hard to get to where they are, and they deserve the spot that they're given. And I'm hoping for good things for them in 2012. But I'm getting a bit ahead of myself now, aren't I? Now we're going on to the a dubious award, the most overrated wrestler of the year, and I have 3 people who are going to win this award. Yeah, that's like a record for that, I guess. The first choice is fairly obvious. The WWE winner of the most overrated wrestler of the year is, of course, David Otunga. I don't think that needs any explanation, but if you're confused, I will explain to you anyway. David Otunga is the most boring person I've ever seen on WWE television, aside from John Laurinaitis. He purported himself to be Mr. Charisma back when he was on NXT, but he is probably the most boring guy I've seen. Not to mention the fact that his in-ring ability is minuscule at best. And I would imagine that there's no really good reason why he should be on TV multiple times a year. I don't know how often he's on TV because, as I've said many times before, I can't do that again for 6 months. So there was only one nominee this year because there's only one man truly deserves this award, and that man is none other than the great and devious Ultramantis Black. And just for a single example of his truly great promo delivery style, you can click on the link there. And I'm especially glad to give this award to him because I find it ironic that I'm giving him an award calling him a ham when he is in fact vegan. Yes, that's wonderful. I think it is very, very good indeed. Yes, wonderful. Okay, Sorry, that might have been a little loud for you. I apologize. The next award is, let's see, I'm going through this really quickly. Sorry, these are out of order a bit, so I have to, what's the word? Improvise, just like I'm improvising the rest of this thing. Let's go with the most improved category, or award. There were a few nominations, but for my money, the most improved wrestler in Chikara, at least. Again, I'm not a WWE follower, so I wouldn't know if anyone got better or worse. But the most improved Chikara wrestler is Tursus. Yeah, remember that guy I talked about earlier, the 6'8", 375-pound Finnish giant? Well, last year he was, well, to put it bluntly, he was pretty terrible in the ring. But this year has marked a vast improvement in his repertoire, as well as him showing off that he can in fact be a pretty good singles wrestler in matches against Sarah Del Rey and Green Ant, among various others. Not to mention that a guy who is almost as big as Vader is pulling out Vader-type moves. Tursus is now well known for a flying crossbody. That was his finisher last year and still is, I think. But he also has been known to employ a rather large drop kick, as well as a moonsault from the top rope that he's pulled off on more than one occasion. He's never actually hit anyone with it, but the fact that he is pulled off a moonsault at all is pretty impressive. And there was also one time, I believe, where he pulled off a somersault senton from the second rope. Was that enough S's for you in a row? So he's definitely gotten a lot better. How the story, with the storylines going the way it was, I'm not necessarily sure if he will even be returning to Chikara after at the beginning of season 11. But we will see. And for some reason my nose is stopping up and I don't know why. This happens to me a lot when I talk for a while, I guess. I don't know. So, moving on to the Botcheteer of the Year award. This is the award that is given out to the person who has shown an impressive talent when it comes to botching moves. And I initially wanted to give this award to Sin Cara, but I felt that was in bad taste because he is currently injured and on the shelf. So, the award goes to a member of the Chikara roster, and that man, or woman, but it's actually a man, is Kodama of the Batiri. Yay! Congratulations, Kodama! Honestly, Kodama has gotten a lot better this year than he was last year, where he probably would have been awarded the Botcheteer of the Lifetime. But facial hair. Unfortunately, Ox Baker was not available to be nominated this year. So we will have to go with one of these three men. Yes, it's only men who are nominated for Best Facial Hair this year. I apologize. So, our three nominees are the megastar Marion Fontaine for his glorious mustache. And actually, the more I look at him, he actually reminds me a little bit of Freddie Mercury from later on in Freddie Mercury's life. Yeah, it's uncanny. Next up is probably the most famous of these three. That would be Mr. Daniel Bryan Danielson, famously the current, I believe, still. I don't know. I don't really watch SmackDown anymore, but as far as I know, he's still the current World Heavyweight Champion. And his vow to grow a beard until he wins the title, which he did, and I actually don't know if he's shaved or not, but I'm kind of curious about that. Maybe I'll have to watch SmackDown sometime. And our final contestant, that's a good word. No, a better word is nomination. Yes, this is spur of the moment, people. I don't have this crap written out. Our third nominee in the category for Best Facial Hair is the great Grizzly Redwood. Yes, it's magnificent, isn't it? There's really no question. The winner of this is in fact Grizzly Redwood. If he had not let his mane grow to outrageous proportions over the second half of the year, I probably would have given this award to Marion Fontaine. But because you must fear the beard, Grizzly Redwood is the winner. So congratulations to Grizzly. Best of luck in 2012 in your beard growing endeavors. All right, the next award goes to the worst wrestling ring ever. There was only one nominee because all of the other ones that I've ever seen have been ridiculously good compared to this one. And it is, of course, the ring that was used for Chikara's show in Kingsport, Tennessee. There's going to be... why am I telling you this? There's a video right now that I'm linking to that will show you exactly what happened. If you're too lazy to watch the video, I will tell you that the ropes broke twice during the show. It was pretty funny. But you should definitely watch the video first, and then you can come back to this. And speaking of videos, the next award goes to the Best Music Video of the Year. And as much as I wanted to give this to CM Punk for his inspirational video, shall we say, of or a tribute, shall we say, I guess that would be a better word, a tribute to one Mr. Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis. As much as I wanted to give that to him, there really was no question that the best music video of the year goes to Tim Donst for his music video, Who's the Man? And there's a link for you. So please pause this for now and go watch that. It will be worth it. Trust me, I'm a doctor. I'm really not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. But you should definitely go watch that. So, the next award is the Hamtastic Actor of the Year award. And, wow, that hurt a little bit. Ugh. I should have... oh, excuse me. Hold on a second. I need to take a drink of water. That's much better.